Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the I Do Music podcast, and our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we sat down with producer-songwriter Corte Ellis discussing learning from iconic talent like Clive Davis and Diddy, his fondest studio memories with the likes of Missy and Tweet, and betting on himself with his record label, Academy Records. Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the I Do Music podcast, and I'm sitting down with songwriter, producer. Yes. I don't want to give you titles that you don't utilize yourself, but Corte Ellis is here with me today.
How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Yes. Shout out to Zamandy for getting you here. My sis from VA, you as well from VA. You guys met there. I was really excited to see your name on the schedule because, after researching, I realized that you've done so many amazing things in music. You're also just like, you grew up. This is your life. Right. So it's always great to hear the journey of someone who's been doing it since forever, since they couldn't even remember, I
know, right?
Yes. So talk to me about the beginning for you. Just why music? Why was music something that you naturally gravitated towards, if you feel like you have?
Well, I'm from the South, and pretty much, I was raised in church, so going to church, singing, and, being around different musicians. And my stepfather, he was a music man. My biological father is a singer, and my mother too.
Right.
And, I just felt like I just knew what I was going to do at an early age. Even when I was running around the house singing and everybody was saying, shut up. I heard shut up so much, but I just knew one day I was just like, y'all gonna be laughing. I'm gonna be laughing all the way to the bank.
Period.
And y'all gonna be doing the thing that y'all don't want to do with y'all life, and I'm gonna be enjoying mine. So I was just like, I'm always gonna just focus on what makes me happy.
Yeah. That's all you can do. I was just talking. We had a conversation before this about really pursuing our passions versus pursuing what other people want us to do. It's important to feed your soul. Otherwise, it's like, what am I living for,
Absolutely. Passion is what literally wakes you up and keeps you going.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, parents singing, you grew up in a church choir as well as doing plays as well. So, was that musical theater bug hit you? Were you acting a bit, coming up?
I was trying anything because coming from where I'm from, it was either...
And that's Portsmouth,
Virginia. It was either you was outside in the streets, you was playing sports, or, there was a music scene, but it's not like you could walk outside and walk to Bad Boy, what I mean?
Right.
You had Teddy Riley out there, you had a few people, but you really had to go through the cycle to... If you made it to these people, then you were doing something right.
Right.
They just didn't let anybody come into the fold.
I'm sure.
You had to earn that.
I'm sure. How were you, what was your major first break, I guess, in the business of music? Because I know, like I said, you've been doing it since you were young, but what was it that you knew okay, I can make something out of this music thing?
Well, I have an interesting story.
Yes.
There's a group called Surface. Mm-hmm. They had a song called "Only You Can Make Me Happy."
Yeah,
so
I like that song.
the one of the main producers and songwriters, his name was David Pitt Conley, and he was blind. And I met him one day because just when I was younger, in my mind, I just figured every tall building or every big building was a music studio. That was just my thing, and I just was like, I need to figure out what's going on inside of these buildings. And I saw him outside one day, and he had a stick. He was walking, and I asked him, I said, hey, what's in that building? And then he was like, it's a music studio. I was like, can I see? And I didn't know who he was at first. And then I went inside, and then I seen all the plaques on the wall, and I was just like...
He let you come inside?
He literally let me come inside.
That's so nice.
That literally changed, my perspective on what I knew I needed to do.
Right.
I needed to be in there because he understood how to create the music that I needed to create. So it went from me meeting him, and then I met the producer of No Diggity,
Wow.
Will Skill Stewart, while I was sweeping the parking lot at a Taco Bell.
Wow.
And like I said, where I'm from, it was either he had the nice Lexus, he pulled up, and I was just like, it's two things.
Right.
You hustling,
Right.
or you doing music. Which one? And then he was like, I'm a musician.
Wow.
And then I sang something for him because I sing, gave me his phone number, we exchanged information. He started letting me come by his house, and he showed me how to record, because I would record, but I didn't understand, how to stack vocals and to arrange songs. And I literally got a chance to sit and watch him create music. And this is when Blackstreet is literally about to like launch into like another phase, and he was like the guy behind the music that was doing these things for Teddy. Like I watched him sing the demo to No Diggity.
That's crazy.
Like I was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
what do you think? I mean, as you're meeting these individuals you obviously took a chance to even ask the question, right? But beyond that, why do you feel, because it's a little intimidating to maybe approach certain people, but then from there, like you took that first step of like approaching these people, right? Not even really knowing who they were. But then from there, what do you think it is about your spirit or your energy that was like, they invited in or welcomed into their space? Because, a lot of people, like even, I forget who we had on the podcast, and I'm drawing a blank right now, but she worked under Teddy Riley, and she was telling me that just like working at that studio, it wasn't easy to just get in these spaces in a place like Virginia,
Right. Well, I just think I'm a God-fearing man first and foremost. So, I always pray about, the steps that I'm taking. And, I ask God if this is for me, and my mom always told me somebody can only tell you two things, yes or no.
Yes or no, yeah.
So, and I didn't have anything to lose. For me, it was everything to gain. And I just knew that if you put me in a situation, I was going to produce, or I'm going to be a student. I'm going to be someone that you want to give information. You're going to want to, let me inside so I could continue to learn, because I'm a listener, so yeah. Absolutely.
I think those are both important. I mean, so I know, was it an artist that were you pursuing an artist career, or were you always just invested in just like all parts of the music? Because I mean, you're songwriting, producing, you sing, you've done, we talked about it off the record, but you've done background for Jill Scott most recently. I mean, and the list goes on. We'll get into like your accolades, but for me, I'm just curious to know, like, what was it for you what was your like goal in doing music? Like, did you want to be the artist?
I was the artist.
You were the artist, but it was like, was that what you were actively pursuing early on?
If I could just be honest.
Sure, please.
I just wanted to be saved from my situation. Like I was in the streets, and I was really good at it.
What, being in the streets?
Yeah. Like I wasn't like no gangster, but I knew how to make money. And I was just like, that was scary to me, because it was so inviting and it was so easy to do when I had certain connections. And I was just like, I just need to do something else. And I was just like, God, I'll do anything. Like if I gotta, sing background, if I gotta write something, I used to drop, David Pitt Conley was blind. I would literally get a call from Josh Thompson, and I would drive him all the way to New York, 7 hours, just so he could do a session with Joe Thompson. Wow. You know what I mean? Like I was just willing. I was just like, this can't be what the rest of my life is gonna be like. I know I'm talented, and I still had a lot of room to grow. But I just was like, hey, I'm not the best and I'm not the worst, but God damn it, I'm going to try.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that kind of, why do you believe you turned to the streets looking for that fast money, even though you had parents who pursued music, you have people around you, family that it's like, pursued music and had found some success, why do you believe you turned to the streets first? Versus, like, you know, I mean, I know things are just like destined to happen. They teach us certain things, but I'm curious to know, you looking at your life, why do you think those decisions were made?
I mean, it was 5 of us, and my mom. I watched.
In the house.
Yeah, you know, it was my brothers and sisters, and you know, when my stepfather left, it was really all on my mom.
Gotcha.
So I just got tired of watching her struggle. So I just figured, you know, if I could do something
to help,
something, anything, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't go out and buy a whole bunch of fancy stuff, but I always made sure we had money, you know, for food, and you know what I mean? And the holidays were okay, and guess what? I still do that today.
Right.
You know, but I just do it differently now.
Right. You got an official hustle.
And I knew it. I couldn't continue that way, because although my mom would turn a blind eye, like, I knew she was disappointed that, you know what I mean?
That's what you chose.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's real. That's very self-aware. I mean, you know, and I'm sure you were really young too. So it's like, you know, I'm just doing anything that I can. I'm sure she still appreciated the effort, but nobody wants to see their child, you know, in that position, or feel like they have to be in that position to help them. So I'm happy that you were able to find solace in music, which, you know, that's not an unusual story, an uncommon story. We hear, you know, the street hustle turned to, like, the music hustle.
Right.
But it's interesting to me, especially because, like, you know, just looking at a lot of your credits, and you work with R&B heavyweights, like, your demeanor now, like, I wouldn't assume you to be like a street dude, you know,
right.
But like working with the likes of Beyonce, Monica, Fantasia, Tweet, like, these are like very huge, you know. Just how do you feel to know that you've gone from what, like, you basically hit that fork in the road and said, okay, I'm gonna go this way, and then look what God gave you, you know, like what was actually destined for you on the other side? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I have, and I just feel like, you know, when God shows favor over your life, I don't care what you thought your plan was, but His plan for you is so much greater than what you could even imagine. And it was just a point when I just said, you know, Lord, have your way, you know. And I gotta really give a shout out to Missy too, because when Missy first, I used to go to the studio with Missy when I was like 15, 16 years old. She was working on Super Duper Fly. But then, like, right after that, she was like gone. You know, she was like gone, like she's a superstar. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But we always kept in touch, you know.
This is family, yeah.
This is my family. That's my cousin.
Yeah.
But we always kept in touch, and I would always just, you know, every 6 months to a year, I let her hear something new, and she would let me know when she felt like I was ready. But what happened is me and her wound up linking, but we were musically, but we were working on the same projects at that time.
Wow. And unbeknownst to you, or like you kind of walked in?
Knew.
You knew?
I knew. And I wanted her to know too, like, cause hey, I'm finally
there.
getting my feet wet, you know.
That's
and I took a lot of your advice, and then me and her just kind of put our heads together and said, you know, we family in this thing. You know, she knows she could say anything around me, and, you know, it's going to stay right there, you know, and nobody better not say nothing crazy about her or it's a problem.
Facts.
You know, because she's a legend, and everything she got, she earned it, you know.
She's so humble. You seem very humble, too. But I be wanting y'all to flex a little bit, you know, because it's like, and not in a way of like a chauvinistic way, but it's just like y'all have been a part of such legendary things. And I feel like, you know, even in the wave of like the Instagram live versus competitions, she was so surprised, it seemed like, from the internet. This is just me reading from the outside. So surprised that people are like, yeah, you should totally, we don't even know who could go against you type energy. And she's like, oh, you know, it's just always like, oh.
We laughed about that.
Yeah.
We literally laughed about that. But, you know, Missy's like really shy. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but.
Gotta be.
But she's definitely, she's checked me a few times when I wasn't working up to par. She'd be like, yo, I got my millions already.
It's time.
You better get to work. You know what I mean? Or you trying to go out on a hot date. How many songs you did today?
Ooh.
Nope, I'm not going nowhere.
I love it.
You know what I mean? Like,
you need that energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Need that energy. I think that's important. So can you tell me about those sessions at 15 at Super Duper Fly, like witnessing, like what? I mean, that's what the people they want to know. They want to know.
Man, Missy is just super talented, man, and I don't know if you know the history of like Super Duper Fly, but they did like that album like really, really quick.
Yeah,
and
which is so crazy.
I'll never forget. There was two producers, Majesty and Jake. Mm-hmm. They were from Vegas, and I believe they had worked with 702 or something. But I feel like they were a part of like something that had to do with like a Babyface. It was so long ago, but I one thing about this that I'll never forget is they came to Virginia. We were at Master Sound, and she was in there like, all right, y'all, make a beat. And they didn't have any sounds or anything, yo. I will never forget that, yo.
What do you mean they didn't have no sounds?
They didn't have, like, I guess, like, okay, so when you have, back in the day, you have an ASR 10, mm-hmm. and, you got your disc or whatever. They showed up. They didn't have their sounds or something. Like, it was weird back there. Because I was a kid, and I was just like, I just remember sitting in the room just singing with them while they were playing the piano. I was like, what's going on? Yeah. It's a lot of things happening. Yeah. But Missy and Tim, they linked together and musically, and it was a wrap.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, just to know like you've come from just the Virginia music scene in general too is like a lot of people, I wouldn't say sleep. Yeah, people do sleep on Virginia's music scene.
Oh yeah,
because you think Missy, you think Timberland, you think Pharrell and NERD, but like it's so many like what do you feel? Can't you just talk to me about the Virginia music scene and why if you feel this way, Virginia's not given that sort of credit for what comes out, and like what or why it doesn't appear that you guys, because it's different here in Atlanta. You've been in Atlanta for a couple years, and you see like so and so is going to support so and so because that's just how it is. Like mm-hmm. I was in DC for school. And if something came out of Atlanta and I go back home, I'm immediately bringing it up to D.C. because that's just how we move here. Whereas, other parts of the country and other major cities, that's not the case. It's not a collaborative effort or a familial effort. What would you say about the Virginia music scene? Do you feel like it's a crab in a barrel mentality? Do you feel like, is there anything holding you guys back? Or like why you don't have that same sort of camaraderie? There versus like a place like here?
I just think in any town, in any city, when it comes to music, you're gonna have your success stories. You're gonna have your struggle stories. I don't think it's a regional thing. I just feel like, the strong survive.
That's true.
You really gotta push through. And The one thing I will say about Virginia is you could see an artist that's on his way about to peak, and someone like me who's been down the road and I kind of know what's to come, and I say, hey, I like what you're doing. Now you got to do A, B, C, and D and watch. The artist goes, okay, cool, I got it. 3 months later, they don't do A, B, C, or D. They still keep it. And I'm just like, listen, I'm giving you the blueprint. I'm in these buildings closing these deals. Like, I know what you need to do. So it's just, a lot of people just want to do it their way. Mm-hmm. And I mean, hey, if that's what you want to do, then it's up to you. So I don't think it's a crab in the... I mean, anybody could say that.
That's true.
But if you're not taking advice from people who have been where you're trying to go, then you're just doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah. Is there anything out of Virginia that we should be like, or that you know of that we should be like keeping an eye on, our ear to? I know like, I guess maybe Drum most recently has gotten some success. I mean, he moved to Atlanta and then LA, but like, he came out of VA some years ago. Are you keeping your like ears at home?
Yeah, I love drum. I'm glad you brought that up. But one of my favorite artists right now from Virginia is Young Raj. Young Raj is amazing. Like the melodies that he write, like the tone and just
Singer?
his creative mind. Yeah, Young Raj is amazing. And he plays the bass, guitar.
Nice.
Like he's like really. See, I love art, and when somebody's not afraid, to showcase their art because it's not the cool thing to do. Like he just does not care. He was trending because he had put up like a billboard of himself and it had like his phone number up for quarantine.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I missed it.
It was like the funniest thing because he had put up this.
His real phone number?
Yeah.
I'm weak.
Yeah, he had put up this thing for like quarantine. He was looking for a quarantine bay. But I just thought it was genius,
Yeah.
And he works with LVRN, so.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm a fan of BEO and CEO. They had a song in Virginia called "I'm a Dog" that was like, I felt like I was in the labels like knocking like this song is
it
because it moved and I seen the response.
Yeah.
But one of the guys got arrested, and then one guy came home, and then another one got, because that's the life that they into. But these guys are really talented.
Yeah. That's interesting. So I'm kind of jumping around here because it's just so many things. So I wanted to ask you, because you were actually recruited in high school.
Yes.
By classmates to become a lead singer for an R&B group called New Image.
Right.
Okay, so tell us about that time. I mean, R&B groups obviously were a thing. Groups in general were a thing. That's how a lot of people got their start. Talent shows, all those things, coming up, right?
Right.
You were recruited by the other members of the group to be the lead?
Well,
like, how did that work?
I don't think they just recruited me to be the lead, but
naturally,
I feel like, to be honest, I became the lead singer because I couldn't harmonize. Like I couldn't figure it out, and my man Jermaine Newsom really did crazy. So, like I said, I was in the streets, so I bought him his first keyboard. So, by me buying him the keyboard, he was able to show me the notes. And he taught me how to harmonize.
Wow.
So, I'm so thankful to Jermaine Newsom. And we went on to produce records for Beyonce together.
That's amazing.
We did Fighting Temptations. We did.
Yes. Classic.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
So, they recruited me and we started singing together in my mom living room. And I just started to understand and learn textures of voices. And when I realized where to find myself, note-wise, then it was just like a whole new world for me,
Yeah, the harmonies and really blending, that's like next level. That's when you really tap into a whole nother being of your voice.
Yeah, because my boy Jermaine would literally take, like, back in the day, like, no studio, he would take, like, the two recorders, and he would literally record the whole acapella to Hard to Say Goodbye, singing every note by himself, like on a two tape recorder, and just keep switching it. I was like, how in the world?
How do you feel, like in terms of where we've come technologically and just like the advancement of, I mean, it's so many layers to that, like the streaming and how different that is, but do you find it to be easier for you? Obviously, like, we're not doing things the same way. Everything is on the computer in the software. Do you find it easier, or do you miss, like, more tangible or even, like, live instrumentation, that whole process of being in the studio and, like, really having to figure it out?
Well, I still try to utilize live instrumentation, like, in songs, even if I have like the bed of something, I'll always go back and figure out how to make, the song grow with what's been laid with the music. And then after we do that, I have somebody re-sing something to try to match the emotion. Like, it's literally like building bricks for me.
Yeah. Where do you start in your like producing or songwriting process? Like, do you start with the melody? You start with the beat? You start with, what does that look like for you?
For me, it's melody. It's melody for me because, you know, if you have a catchy melody, something that locks in, you know, and you can be sincere about something you want to say, I think that's a
hit.
Yeah, that's a hit.
That's a hit. What other components are there to a hit?
It just depends on what genre. You know,
Sure.
like when you're dealing with like pop music, like writing for Britney Spears, like I knew that.
What did you write for Britney?
Get Naked and Get Back on the Blackout album. I knew writing for her that she liked to dance a lot. So I knew repetition would be like, like
good for her.
Good for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about for R&B? What do you think is like that melody?
It's the melody, and then it's the feeling. You know, like that's part of the problem with, like, you know, when you have like the new technology, because a lot of people like to copy and paste. You can't copy and paste an emotion. No, even if you're gonna say the same words, sing them differently. Like, you know, that's why we love Marvin Gaye. You know what I mean? Because he made you feel something, everything,
everything. Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
It was never a point where you were like, oh yeah, I heard him do that part already.
Right.
No, he took you on a ride, and when it was over, you was like, man.
Listen, I Want You, Marvin Gaye, is literally one of my favorite songs ever. Because he's not saying that many things in the song if you listen to it, but it's just like what he said and how he said it. It's all you needed. You know, it was a feeling for sure.
Before you get into that.
No, go ahead.
Somebody else who I was able to be around and learn from. I got a chance to be in the studio with him a few times, and he used to be managed by a friend of mine, Greg Parks. He used to work with Tyrese, and I remember being in the studio with Tyrese one night, and he was singing so hard, and it was so passionate, and I just told myself, I have never sang anything in my life.
After hearing that?
What? I'm so glad I got to see that, because I had no idea. Like, he really gave everything. He left it all on the microphone. I don't even know how he had anything else to say when he walked out.
Yeah, Tyrese, that's a powerhouse
and
there.
He was singing, he was doing the ad-libs for Signs of Love Making. When he was like, Capricorn,
you were there?
I was there in Quad Studio, and he was singing that thing, and I was just like
taken away, blown away. That's wild.
And he blocked out everybody. It might have been about maybe 5 of us in there. It's like he didn't even see us. He
was in his own world.
He was like, man, I'm gonna get this done.
That's amazing. I mean, it seems like you've learned or been able to work with so many amazing people just over the years. Like, and we kind of skipped around the R&B group thing, but being a part of New Image, being the lead singer there, from there you decided to go on and write your own original music, right?
Right.
Why did you make that decision?
Because I just couldn't sing another Boyz II Men song. I was just like, I love Boyz II Men, but you know, I was coming from the streets. I was like, this, I don't identify with this. With you know, I love the way it sounds and feels, but I needed to make something that fit my aesthetic. You feel what I'm saying? So I just started writing and coming up with my terrible songs back then. You know,
terrible. Yeah,
I'm just saying. You know, it's a process. You know, like if you're really thinking like the first songs that you writing are great, then you're bugging.
That's
like
true.
let's stop it. Like, come on. You know, I'll never forget like going to work with Puff. Like, it's so crazy. Like, when I went to go work with Puff, I did not know who I was going to work with.
Really?
I had no idea.
How did you?
So, the person who gave me like my first like industry like check, his name is Derek Thompson. Shout out to Derek Thompson. Derek was like running like BMG at the time, and somehow he was working with a group called Strong from Chicago, and I could write for like kids. You know what I mean? Because I had like a really high voice. So I wrote this song called Penny Candy. This was like early 2000s. And Derek heard the song and he gave me a check. And I was just like, he gotta pay me. He was just like, you should come to New York. And so I went up to New York I used to take the bus back and forth because the producers, I would take the Greyhound bus.
Wow.
All the way up to New
New
York. And then I would stay with them, and then I would take the Greyhound bus back to Virginia.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it was crazy. So I wrote the song, and then Derek somehow was able to let Harv take a listen. So Harv was like, yo, you know, who's this kid? You know, oh, this Corte, this new writer. Oh, you think you want to come by the studio? Now, mind you, I'm like, I don't really know much about New York.
Right.
So Derek hits me, he goes, hey, I'm going to give you this address, and I want you to go by this studio. You're going to do some writing. He never, ever said anything, but it was only because he was traveling. And he was flying to LA. He was, whatever the case may be. We just,
he couldn't.
Nobody had the Wi-Fi like on the plane back then.
Right.
So anyway, I get the address. I take the train into the city. I got my avenues and my streets all messed up. I'm walking all around. When I tell you the sweat that was on my neck from walking back and forth in the sun, I was like, which way I go? People was like, that way, idiot. I was like, oh my God. So I finally find the building. It's 321 West 44th Street between 8th and 9th. I go to this door. There's a guy sitting at the front. I just walk to the front and I go, studio. He was like, second floor. He don't even make eye contact with me. So then I go upstairs to the second floor, and then I walk in. There's no sign. There's no sign in the studio. So you walk in and there's just somebody with a sitting behind like a glass. They give you like a little ass radio and a CD, and they're like, yeah, we need some female songs. Nobody ever said who I'm there. I don't even know where I'm at. I don't even know where I am. So then I'm in this little room. I'm talking about a little room. If I remember correctly, the walls were like green. They had this little ugly couch in there. So I had this, you know, I used to have the dictaphone back there because, you know, we didn't have no voice notes and nothing like that. So I'm sitting in there and I'm just singing melodies. I'm just singing and writing, and I don't even know who I'm working for. Like, I have no idea. Probably like 5 hours went by. And then the door swung open. It was Puff. 5
hours later, you just been in there.
He said, yo, Playboy, let me hear what you got. I was just like,
that's like, who I'm here for.
Oh my God. I was like, and that was literally the start of like me and like his work relationship. He was like, let me hear what you got, Playboy. Let me hear it. I sang it to him. He was like, nah, that ain't it. He was like, you know, try to write me a couple more like that. I was like, all right, cool. So he left for another 5 hours. I stayed in that room. I was just like, it's now or never.
Right.
This is Diddy.
Right.
Puff boy at the time. I'm like, this now or never. He came back in the room. I guess after he'd been hanging, partying, kicking it, he came back in and let me hear what you got. I started singing the new idea to him. He was like, nah, that ain't it. Let me hear that first idea you had. I sung the first idea to him. He said, yeah, that's the one. Go record that one.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the start of me and Puff working relationship. So, and then from there, I went on to do like B5 for him, Sherry Dennis, Donnie Klain, New Edition.
Wow.
So much stuff with Puff.
That's crazy. And just that willingness and that tenacity to just do it because you got the call from Derek to begin with. Mm-hmm. That trust in like, I know this is legitimate, but I'm just go into this random studio, and then to come out on the other side 10 hours later and to know it was Diddy.
I had nothing to lose. I had nothing. I only had everything to gain.
That's true.
Because guess what? If it didn't work out, I gained information. Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. So I just didn't have anything to lose. I was like, hey, I've already risked my life.
Yeah.
So why not?
Why not?
You know?
That's true. I mean, it's much better than a past situation for sure. It's like to pursue something you actually give a shit about, that you actually care about. I think that's amazing. That's a great story. So you own your own record label imprint, yes?
Yes.
Academy Records, where did that, because it's not spelled like regular, it's spelled with a K. So right. What is Academy Records, and why was that important for you to establish your own like imprint?
I just believe you got to bet on yourself. For me, I work with some of the most amazing musicians, artists, executives in the industry. And I just remember at one point when R&B music wasn't prospering like it was supposed to, and I felt the type of way, like with all the executives and all, the music people that I looked up to. I was like, we're not doing enough. Like, how can we not, push the art forward? And then I just said to myself, wait, well, I had like a come to life moment. I was like, why am I questioning what they should be doing when they've already done and they've poured into me and taught me? So why am I not, growing and moving forward?
That's true.
So I, instead of complaining, I just said, listen, I'm going to bet on myself and I'm going to work on the art that I believe in. And I'm going to, I've built relationships for the last 20 years. It's not a thing like I can walk into an office and they know I can write a song.
Right.
Okay, at some point they're like, okay, Corte, what else you going to do? So I said, hey, I take my shot and utilize, these relationships.
Yeah.
And
were you hesitant about doing? Were you ever hesitant? I mean, because you say 20 years, you invested in like learning from these greats that you've been able to work with. But then, were you hesitant about establishing that for yourself, or was it like easier for you to work under other people? Like, what was that for you?
Like I said, I got to go back to it because God is something else. When I went to launch Academy Records, it was crazy. So I had a female group called Boy. One from Virginia, North Carolina, and Boston. But my daughter went to school with one of them. And my daughter is like a little A&R. She's like, yo, Dad, check this music out. I'm like, leave me alone, Quay. Like, no, Dad, I'm telling you something cool and funky about these girls. So I check them out. The girls are like super dope. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I have great relationships. I make some great music, go and close a deal, and that be that. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I do. This is a good start. So, like I said, God had a different plan. So anyway, one of the young ladies in the group, there was a investor who was basically trying to sign her, but he knew nothing about the music business. So they were like, why would I sign over there? He don't even know nothing about the business, but it's cool. So he wanted to meet me. He wanted to talk to me. And I was like, I blew him off every time he called hey, Corte. I was like, nah, bro. We good over here. I know what I'm doing. I'm a businessman, and I like what you're doing. I did some research, and he was asking certain people about me because he had like a tire, like a portable like tire wheel repair. So a lot of the artists, if they dinged a rim or something, they went to him and he would fix it. So everybody, he was asking about me, and everybody was like, yo, he's just a great guy. Like, Corte's like really like a good dude. So then he called me one day. I was like, no, I don't want to do anything with you. Like, we're cool. I was like, man, you all right with me? He was like, oh no. Well, I know you don't want to be like a partner with me or anything like that, but how much would it cost for you to be like your own like P. Diddy? I was like, man, I don't know, man. I said, man, if you're going to really break something, you're going to start something, you're going to have to start with at least like $500,000. I never met this man a day in my life.
What the hell? I
never met him. And the man wired me $500,000 on God.
What?
I still got the damn wires. He sent me $500,000.
Right then and there.
No, it took like a couple.
But I'm just saying, days. Like, but yeah, that was just that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I said, when God got a plan, he got a plan.
Yeah.
you know? So,
Yeah.
and that really showed me that somebody gonna see you.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna believe in you. And guess what? I owe him money till this day, but he still believes in me.
Yeah.
You know? And we have a great working relationship. And he's my guy. He's a 70-year-old white man. And he's just like, yo, Corte, he said, I like to invest in young minorities that are, you know, trying to do the right thing.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's dope. Now, tell me about how you've been able to learn the art of storytelling. I thought this was a really dope piece in the bio that I received from you, just like learning how to tell a story through lyric, through melody, which you've said that you've learned from the great Clive Davis. You've also been able to pick up skills from Diddy and like just working alongside these really amazing legends. But, you know, what does that look like? What is the art of storytelling, and like how do you apply what you learned from them and the way that you operate through your process, your creative process?
Mm-hmm. So for me, the art of storytelling, I feel like my song, now not every song, because you get a dance song is not, but if I have space and time in a record where I can tell a story, I believe that my song is a 3-minute and 40-second movie, you know? So I know for me, like most creative people have like ADD. Like it's not like we just can't sit still and watch anything unless it grabs us. So I just approach the music like that. Like I know that I don't want to lose your attention. Like I'm gonna figure out, you know, the start of the story all the way through to the climax of the story. You know, it's gonna definitely be a roller coaster ride, and I just, you know, I like to approach those type of songs like that. Yeah.
What's one of your favorite records to date, or like fondest memories of creating a record that you've been a part of to date? Just one.
Just one record.
That you just look back on and you're like, that was either a fun time creating it was weird how it happened, or something interesting. Because, I mean, you have so many credits, and we could go on and on for days about the projects that you worked on. And you already mentioned Britney. So no Britney.
So let me see. I would say I love when I wrote Cover Girl for Brooke Valentine.
Yes, that was
because of the story. And like I said, I like to write a story, and I just felt like, you know, I just wanted young girls to feel like they were beautiful, you know, without all the accessories. And I wanted to, you know, because I don't like a lot of makeup.
Yeah. So I don't think many men do, actually. It's something that I think women just do for women.
Right. So that's why I put it in a song. It was more so like it wasn't necessary to highlight you know, beauty. And I got one more other song.
Yes.
Steer. I wrote Steer for Tweet.
Oh yeah.
And Steer was like a gangster love song, just to, you know. And I'll never forget, Timbaland did the beat, and I just remember hearing that. Yeah. And Missy gave me the beat, and we were in Miami at the Hit Factory, and Missy, I'm talking about, she showed up to the studio, she don't leave out till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. So it was like, I was waiting, you know, to get in and write. So what I did is I just literally, it took me about 30 minutes. I sat in the car and I wrote Steer, and it was like, I remember what you said, and I was laying in my bed. I was like, I got it. It was like, that melody was so dope. And originally, Jasmine sang it.
Really?
Jasmine Sullivan.
Really? Mm-hmm. What? So she was on the demo. She did the demo for it.
Jasmine used to sing all of me and Missy's demos.
Wow.
Jasmine is singing on so many songs, so many Fantasia records.
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Oh,
we
my
started
goodness.
working with Jasmine. She was 13. Like
Where's she from?
Philly.
Yeah.
Like
So-
she used to come in the studio from like school with her jacket and her book bag on, and she would literally sit down and sing down top to bottom. I used to be like,
At 13?
what? Yes. Like unbelievable.
She's one of those voices, though. It's like you had to have been doing this all of your life and
Crazy.
before your life and like the lifetime before that, for sure.
Crazy.
Yeah. Wow. You have so many. I know there's so many stories that I haven't gotten out of you, but I want to know what's something that you knew. What's something that you know now that you wish you knew back then? It could apply to the business part of it. It could apply to just life, like as a creative, as an entrepreneur. Like, what is something that you wish you knew then that you know now?
I mean, I don't regret anything. You know, I don't regret anything. I feel like just in growing in the business, you know, you're gonna have your wins, you're gonna have your losses, but you know, I don't regret anything.
That's good.
You know, it's nothing that I would change. I just know that if I was to, you know, telling artists when they sign to record companies and to make sure you ask for everything that you want, be firm on what it is. What I don't like is when artists say, okay, I want A-B, and then you give them A-B, and then they come back and they say, well, you know what? Can I get E-F-G? I'm just like, because I don't like, I'm doing real business with people. So I like, when I have an offer, I like to make sure that we all on the same page of what we talking about, because you're just doing business. You wanna be somebody that people like doing business with. You don't want to seem like you're all over the place.
Absolutely. So with that Academy Records, do you have a roster of artists that you're working with currently?
Yes.
What are you working on today?
Right now, I'm working on Someone Sound. She's a young lady that's featured on Drip Tamina.
Okay.
With Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
So Someone, when I came here, I also signed a rock band from here called Hero the Band.
Yes.
So I signed Hero the Band.
Anthony.
Yeah. Yeah. He was there, you know, with you at the showcase too, right? He works with them a lot. When I brought the label down, and you know, and like I said, you know, I tell everybody, I said commerce is one thing, but art deserves a chance, and those guys was just amazing.
Yeah, I love them.
Just their energy,
Very
and they really want it. And it's not a easy space for them, but they're gonna get there. You know what I mean? Like their schedule before quarantine, then the pandemic was insane. Like it was crazy. You know what I mean? So it's just a little minor setback for a major comeback.
Exactly.
But those are my guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love that, you know, pushing the limits and the boundaries of what music is or what the genre is supposed to be or what they should look like. I like that you gravitated towards them because, I mean, just hearing that you were working with them, I didn't know that prior to researching, but I know what type of music and what type of energy they bring, and it's very different. So I'm happy to see that someone's investing in, you know, their creativity. Now, I do have to make mention before we leave that you sang backup with Jill Scott, because I've seen Jill Scott perform, and I mean, just as a consumer, as a fan, she's everything. So I can imagine that experience, and a live experience at that, working with her was probably insane. How did you come across that opportunity, and what did you learn from singing backup with somebody like Jill Scott?
Man, me and Jill, we had a mutual friend, James Poyser. James Poyser introduced me to Jill, and her music director was well, I don't know if he was her music director at the time, but he was definitely in her band, which was Adam Blackstone. Adam Blackstone is like the music director for everybody, but he was probably 18, 19 back then. But Adam also worked with like Missy, like back in the day, so we knew of each other, you know. And I remember I had sang on one of Jill records a song called I want to say it was called When I Wake Up. I don't know, but she wanted some dope backgrounds on it, and I went in and I laid the backgrounds and I smashed it. You should go listen to it. It's a song called When I Wake Up.
Yes.
And keep in mind that when I went on tour with Jill, I was signed to SRC, putting out my own record, but she was going out on the road with Maxwell, and I said to myself, like, if I'm gonna really understand and learn the craft of the stage, I get to watch Maxwell and sing with Jill Scott. I'm going.
Right.
You know, I said, I'm going.
Yeah.
And then the musicianship and the camaraderie was just like on like a whole another level. And like, you know, I fell in love with it, and then it became my vacation away from the studio. So then I was away, and I was able to be recharged, and I was able to learn and hear different textures and tones of, you know, pianos and just arrangements. And I would take all of these things that I learned, and then I would go and make music. So, mind you, I have all these different things going on for me, and Jill actually gave me the opportunity to help facilitate the latest record deal that she had. So I helped get Jill the situation that she had at Atlantic.
That's amazing.
And I was the associate producer of the Woman album.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
It was #1 in the country.
Yeah, I know. That's a really big,
But she's my
project.
She's my friend, like our kids. Like it's, yeah.
That's like family.
Absolutely.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
We argue too.
I'm sure.
But you know what though? One thing I love about Jill is just Jill is gonna challenge you because she can see through. She could see through you. You know what I mean? She knows when you're not giving it your best. Like you're like, nah, you better than what you position it. And then she's like, right now, one of the businesses that I just got into is just like in terms of like consulting was because of her, because she told me, she was like, yo, stop doing favor business. Like, this is, you know what you're doing. Like, put a fee behind that.
I love that.
You know what I mean?
You need people like that in your corner. You need people. Right. I mean, and I'm happy that you've had like these sorts of figures in music and in the entertainment business to say, like, you know, to just reaffirm what you already know, that you're better than what, or you deserve more. You know what I mean? You deserve more for your talent and your ability. So that's awesome. Can't have a bunch of yes men around you. It's like, yeah, that's cool. That's what's up. So, what are you excited for? How is this business, your personal business, your record company? How is it evolving? Your label, like, what's next for Corte?
I mean, it's just like I said. I just keep my ears open, and you know, I try to surround myself with people that I can continuously learn from, because you know, I was taught that if you're the smartest person in your circle, then you need a new circle. Absolutely. So you know, I just try to put myself around people who can enlighten me, and they're showing me how to do certain deals, and it's just really, really right. It's really, really interesting, because like, I never, ever want to do a standard record deal again, because I know what JVs look like, because I'm literally in the process of doing one with someone who I feel is going to be one of the most amazing artists of our time. The deal is like in like the final stages. And, you know, I'm just learning because I've heard, no, we can't do that, to maybe to, okay, we'll do. I'm just like, see, come on, y'all. Y'all just saying that.
You gotta play the game.
But the kid was he was firm on what he wanted, and was just like, nah, yeah, you know, I need those masters.
I like that energy.
Yeah, and he was firm on that. He was like, I'll just stay like I am. Like, man, I'm having fun. I'm just drawing and eating healthy food and selling my album myself, like literally DMing people. That's how he got signed. Wow. Because he DM'd me and he asked me, he said, yo, can you buy my album for $7.77? And I listened to the album and it was the most amazing music. I was just like...
Who's this guy? You can't say it?
Yeah, I can say his name, David Sebastian.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I feel like I've heard that name before, yeah.
It's phenomenal. So, yeah.
Wow.
So, David
Where's
is...
he coming from?
L.A.
L.A. Nice.
Yeah, he has an album called We Are God. And it was just like, it couldn't wait. I was just like... I got on the phone, and before you know it, I had every CEO on the line, like, you know, because when I know, I know,
yeah.
You know, and it didn't take long.
Wow,
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm excited for all that you have. I'm excited, you know, for you to continue to make greatness, and I thank you for your contributions to music and, you know, putting on for VA and then also lending your talents to Atlanta.
Oh man, thank you. Absolutely.
Yes, tell them where they can find you on social media so they can keep up with what you got going.
Well, you know, I don't have the biggest social media presence, but y'all can find me at C Ellis 757. That's one, and then my company IG is Academy_Records, and that's with a K. And the reason it is Academy Records, it's two reasons. Because I was raised in Academy Park, and that's where I first kind of fell in love with music. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Academy is kind of like a place you'll go where you know get schooled and you kind of get the life lessons, so you just don't come over here and just put a record out. Like this is a lifestyle.
You're doing some development over there?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I'd love to see it. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Corte. And as always, you guys can find this podcast on the social media platforms at IDM Podcast. And you can find myself on all social media platforms at Sammy Approved. Shout out to Samani. Shout out to 757. Thank you, Corte, again for sitting down with me. This is amazing.
Oh, man. Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure.
No problem. Peace.
Sonically superior.